Hello student. Today we will start new chapter, that is what books and burial tell us. Yes, in history already we learn about different chapters. In this chapter we study about the different sources of history. For example, coins, painting, then some written forms we found during excavation. Yes, in this chapter is start from the example of Mary. Mary is a girl. First time she visited library. At that time she saw many books in library and she tried to recognize different books which are from the ancient time. As we know that from the ancient books like Gita, Ramayana, Quran, from this we get a lot of information about our past time. So here today we are going to start a new chapter. In this chapter we study about Vedas. Actually Vedas is the oldest, one of the oldest book in the world. Yes. So first of all we try to understand in India has a rich culture. Yes, in our culture we learn lot of things from our gurus. So first of all we try to understand there are 4 Vedas. First is the Rig Veda, which is the very oldest Veda. Then second Sham Veda, Yajur Veda and Atharva Veda. So totally we have 4 Vedas. Then the oldest Veda is the Rig Veda, which composed about 3500 years. Yeah, this is the oldest Veda of ancient culture or Indian culture. So the Rig Veda includes more than 1000 hymns called suktas or well said. These hymns are in praise of various god and goddess. We believe in God. Our Indian culture, we praise to our God. When we start a new work, that time first of all we praise to our God and goddess. Then these 3 gods, especially they worship these 3 gods. So here we discuss these 3 gods are especially important. First is a Agni, then second one is a Indra and third one is a Somdev. So now first we try to understand what is mean by Agni. Agni means the god of fire. Here they pray to God through the yajnas, through the different rituals they believe in the god Agni. Then second god is Indra, a warrior god. When they started a battle, before that they believe in Indra, means the god of Indra. They worship the god of Indra. And the third god, a Som or a Soma, a plant from which a special drink was prepared. Yes, already you heard about Ayurveda. India is believed in Ayurveda. Before many years we tried to practice about Ayurveda. So this is also one kind of drink which is made up of different kinds of plants. So these hymns in Rig Veda, you saw there are many hymns and composition of different sages and river. Then here they give you these hymns were composed by sages, means the rishis. Priests taught students to recite and memorize each syllable. At that time they don't have books. So that's why all the things they memorize and recall. And then they teach to their students. So each syllable first they memorize the word and sentence beat by beat with great care. Most of the hymns were composed, taught and learned by men. Yes, at that time only men get a right or from a specific caste they get a right to study from their gurus or from different Rishi Munis like Atri, Chanakya, Vashisht, okay, Maharshi. These are the some example of sages. A few were composed by man. The Rig Veda is in old or Vedic Sanskrit. Yeah, it is written in Vedic Sanskrit. So nowadays you also learn Sanskrit language, but this Sanskrit is totally different from the ancient Sanskrit. So that time They write in Vedic Sanskrit. They use in Vedic Sanskrit language. The books we use and written and printed, the Rig Veda was recite and heard rather than read. They can't use a written form. They just memorize, they read or recall it. They can't read, but they recall and memorize all the hymns. It is written down several centuries after. It was first composed and printed less than 200 years ago. So, in this way, we get a lot of information through the Vedas, means we learn about Indian culture. Okay, here we discuss about the Sanskrit and other languages. How we come to know about the different languages which is practiced in various parts of India. Because at that time you heard about many travelers, they are coming to India for the travel purpose or for the business purpose. So that time in India, you saw there is a diversity in language also. Sanskrit is a part of family of language known as Indo-European language. Some Indian language such as Asamiya, Gujarati, Hindi, Kashmiri and Sindhi. Nowadays, we can't use this language, Asamiya language. Asian language such as Persians and many European languages such as English, French, German, Greek, Italian and Spanish belong to the family. Yes, these people also sometimes they visited for the business purpose, for the trade purpose. They are called a family because they originally had words in common. Here, with the example, they try to give us some common words, some similar words. For example, Matru, we said for mother, we are using different words. Matru, which is used in Sanskrit for mother, then Ma is using in Hindi, and mother, which is used in English. So here you saw some similarities in language. Other language used in the subcontinent belong to the different families. For example, those used in the northeast belongs to the Tibeto-Burman family. Means in southern part, here you saw Dravid peoples are there. So this people use Tamil, Telugu, Kannada and Malayalam belongs to the Dravidian family. They are using this kind of languages. And the language spoken in Jharkhand and part of central India belong to the Austro-Asiatic family. Means here you saw some Aryas, means a Hindu culture people is developed in the central part of India. See how our historians study the Rig Veda. Our historians like archaeologists find some written sources. Through these written sources, we come to know about Rig Veda. Some of the hymns in the Rig Veda are in the form of dialogues. This part of one such hymns, a dialogue between a sage named Vishwamitra and two rivers, which is Beas and Satluj, that were worshipped as goddess. Now, in our textbook, they give you the example of manuscript. The manuscript of the Rig Veda of Birch bark was found in Kashmir about 150 years ago. It was used to prepare one of the earliest printed texts of the Rig Veda. As well as English translation is also available in nowadays. It is now preserved in the library of Pune, Maharashtra. After that, here we discuss about the conversation between Vishwamitra and the river in our textbook. Here our rishis Vishwamitra who requests to river to allow him to cross the river, and at that time they wanted to cross their chariots, their cart with them, and yes, of course, these rivers allowed to cross them river, they stop their flow and easily our sage cross their road, they cross the river. So, through this conversation, you try to understand how they believe in God, which kind of life they live, Okay, so here we talk about some cattle, horse and chariots. At that time, they give respect to such animals like cow, means like some cattle and horse, because through the horse they try to travel from one place to another place. And in our Indian culture, we believe in cow as a god, as a goddess. There are many prayers in the Rig Veda for cattle, children, especially for male, and horses. Here you saw, we believe in our culture, nowadays also we pray to cow in the form of God. So horses were yoked to chariots that were used in battle, which were fought to capture different lands, waters. So here battles were also fought for the land, for the cattle, for the pasture purpose, and water and crops. Here they give you the reason how they become a fight with each other in the form of war, which were fought to capture cattle. Battle were also fought for land, which was important for pasture and for growing hardy crops that ripe quickly like barley. Some battles were fought for water also, because they live in near the river bank, and to capture people. So some of the wealth that was obtained was kept by the leader. They all follow what the instruction is given from the leader. They obey them. Some was given to the priest, and the rest part was distributed among the people, or from the ordinary people they get rest of the part. So some wealth was used for the performing yagyas, or sacrifice, in which offering were made into the fire. Nowadays also we believe in yagyas and all these things. We follow our rituals, our Indian customs. This were mean for gods and goddess. Offering could include ghee, grain, and in some cases animals also. They believe in sacrificing animal also. Most men took part in this war. There was no regular armies, but there was assemblies where people met and discussed matter of war and peace. They also choose leaders who are quite brave and skillful warriors. Yes, from the group of people they choose their warriors. Okay, our next point is words to describe people. Here you saw there are many words they are using in Rig Veda according to their work. So there are two groups who are described in the terms of their work. Our first word, which is the priest, means Brahmin people, and the another is Rajas. Rajas means king and queen, means one kind of leader of a group. There are two groups, actually here we discuss about it. These Rajas were not like the ones you will learning about later. They did not have capital city, they did not have palaces and armies, nor did they collected tax from general people. So, as you saw that son did not automatically succeed father as a Rajas. So, at that time you saw there is a different period, they follow different rituals, the rules and regulations are quite different from us. Two words were used to describe the people or community as a whole. One was the word Jana. Jana means the ordinary people, which we still use in Hindi and other language. The word was Vish. Vish means, this word came from the Vaishyas. Vaishyas means the people who are doing different works like traders, farmers, businessmen. So here, sometimes the people compose the hymns, describe themselves as the Aryas and call their opponent as the Dasas and Dasyus. These are the slave people they capture in war, and they were treated as a property of their owners who could make them to do whatever work they wanted. So, while the Rig Veda was being composed in the northwest of the subcontinent, there were other development elsewhere. So, in our next topic, we also learn about some burial sites. So, here we study about some books. Our new point is Silent Sentinels, the story of the Megaliths. First, we try to understand what is Megaliths. Here we study about this stone boulders are known as megaliths. Means literally a big stone is used here to make megaliths. It's a burial site. These were carefully arranged by people and were used to mark burial sites. Yes, here we are discussing about megaliths. These were carefully arranged by people and were used to mark burial site. The practice of erecting megaliths began about 3000 years ago and was prevalent throughout the Deccan, where we find this kind of megaliths. So, in southern part of India as well as in northeast and in Kashmir, we find megaliths. Some remains or evidences of megaliths. Some megaliths can be seen on the surface. Other megaliths, burials are often underground. So sometimes archaeologists find circle of stone boulders or a single large stone is used or standing on the ground. This indicates the only indication that were the burial beneath is here. So they indicate with a large stones. So all the burials have some common features, like the dead were buried with the distinctive pots. Here they buried with the different things, different objects like pot, tools, then weapons of iron. Here they are using iron. Then skeletons of horses and ornaments of stone and gold, as well as some equipments of horses also find here. At that time they are using some ornaments which is made up of stone and gold. Yeah. So through this example we come to know about some megaliths. Here with the example they shown you the different kinds of megalith which we find in India from the different area. Finding out about social differences through the burial site. Archaeologists think that object found with a skeleton probably belongs to the dead person. Yes, with the dead person they buried different things, already we discussed here. Sometimes more objects are found in one grave than another. For example, in Brahmagiri, here one skeleton was buried with 33 golden beads and 2 stone beads. With this they find 4 copper bangles and 1 conch shell. Means maybe this burial site is about for Brahmins, because here we found also conch shell, which is generally Brahmins are using here. Other skeleton have only a few pots only. So this find suggests that there was some differences in status among the people who were buried. So some were rich, other were poor, some are chief. Chief means leaders, and some are from the other followers or from the ordinary class. So here another example is where some burial spot mean to certain families. Means in a one burial site, here we find many skeletons of a people. Maybe they are from one family. Sometimes megaliths contain more than one skeleton. This indicates that the people perhaps belong to the same family. Where burial in the same place, though not at the same time. The bodies of those who died later were brought into the grave through the porthole. Through the porthole, they buried the another family members after some time. So, stone circle or boulders placed on the surface probably serve as a sign pot. Means here they indicate the place with a sign pots to find the burial site. so that the people could return to the same place whenever they wanted to do. So, with this example, here we find some certain families, they are buried in a one place, in a single place with the help of some skeletons. A special burial at Inamgaon. Here they give you the example of Inamgaon. It is a site which is on the river Ghod, a tributary of a Bhima river. It was occupied between 3600 years and 2700 years ago. Here adults were generally buried in the ground, laid out straight with the head towards the north direction. Sometimes burial were within the houses. Yes, they buried this dead body of an old person in near to their houses. Vessels that probably contained food and water were placed with the dead bodies. Once man was found buried in a large 4-leg clay jar in the courtyard of a 5-room house, one of the largest house at this site, in the center of the settlement. Settlement means one kind of village. Here you saw group of people living here. This house also had a granary. Granary means a godown, one kind of godown. Here we store food grains. The body was placed in a cross-leg position. This example gives you to understand maybe this is the body of a chief or a leader of a village. So through this we come to know about the different burial sites. So here we discuss about megaliths. After that, what skeleton study tell us? It is easy to make out the skeleton of a child from its small size. Yes, but however, there are no major differences in the bones of girls and boys. Can you make out whether the skeleton was that of a man or a woman? How can we find out? When our archaeologists excavate and they find some skeletons from the burial site, at that time they study on this megaliths. So sometimes people decide on the basis of what is found with the skeleton. For example, if the skeleton is found with jewellery, it is sometimes thought to be that of a woman. But however, there are problems with this. Often men also wore ornaments. A better way of figuring out the sex of a skeleton is to look at the bone structure. Here you saw there is a difference between the structure of bones in man and woman. The hip or the pelvic area of women is generally larger to enable childbearing. So that's why the pelvic area and the hip area of women is larger than the men. These distinctions are based on the modern skeleton studies. About 2000 years ago, there was a famous physician named Charak who wrote a book on medicines known as the Charak Samhita. Charak Samhita, which gives you a detailed information about Ayurveda. So, which is around 300 BC. So, there he states that the human body has 360 bones. This is much larger number than the 200 bones that are recognized in modern anatomy. Charak arrived at this figure by counting the teeth, joints and cartilage. Cartilage means a smooth bones. So here you saw our ancient Indian medicines, which is they followed at that time Ayurveda. Here after that we are discussing about the occupation at Inamgaon. Inamgaon is one of the village of India in Maharashtra. Through this we come to know about some different occupations in the society. For example, some people they are practicing farming, some people they are rearing animals, some are potters. Archaeologists have found seeds of wheat and barley as well as rice, pulses, millets, peas, sesame the bones of number of animals, many bearing cut marks that show they may have been used as food, have also been found. This includes cattle, buffalo, goat, sheep, dog, horse, ass, means here wild donkey, then pig, sambar, spotted deer, black buck, antelopes, hare and mongoose. Besides birds, here we are discussing about they find some bones of crocodiles, turtle, crab and fish. There is evidences that fruits such as bear, amla, jamun, dates and a variety of berries were collected from the site of Inamgaon. So here in this chapter we detailed study about the different burial site, different written forms, as well as at the last they give you the information of China. China is our one of the neighboring country. In China, around 3500 years ago, we find some of the first evidence of writing in China. This writing were on animal bones. They are using animal bones. But in India, you saw we find some manuscript, some inscription, means they are writing on copper, they are writing on stones, as well as sometimes we are writing on bark of a trees, means a palm leaf. They are oracle bones because they were used to predict the future. Kings got scribes. Scribe means a special kind of writers. King got scribes to write question on the bones. Would they win battle? Would the harvest be good? Would they have sun? This kind of questions they write on bones of animals. The bones were then put into the fire and they crack because of the heat. Then fortunately study these cracks and try to predict the future. Yes, in this way they try to get some answers from the bones. This is their thinking. Okay, as you expect, they sometimes made mistake. Yes or no? Yes, because it is just a prediction. These kings live in a palaces in cities. They amassed vast quantity of wealth, including large, elaborately decorated bronze vessels. At that time in India, we are using iron things, iron metal, but they are only using bronze vessel. However, they did not know the use of iron. So in this way, in this chapter, we cover all the points through the different remains, through the different written forms. We get a lot of information about the ancient books and burial sites. Thank you.